Hey guys, and welcome to Dan and Bryn Start a Gym, the exciting, not conclusion, because we're going to be doing this a lot, I suppose, but continuation of our technical Tuesdays and Thursdays. Today is Thursday. We're going to go over our core lifts, how to pick them and what to do with them. We really want to get away from sets and reps. A lot of people seem to really get their heads hung up on sets and reps. How many sets are they supposed to do? How many reps are they supposed to do? And today we're going to solve that problem just a little bit. Remember, we want to keep in mind our 5 human movements: push, pull, bend at the hip, bend at the knee, and core work, twist or anti-twist. We went over that on Tuesday this week. Today we are going to be going over our core lifts. Now, how we define a core lift is a lift that you should be able to do and practice when your motivation starts to wane. When you start to feel less motivated and stuff like that, you should have a staple of exercises that these are the ones that I like to do the most. That helps keep me motivated when I don't know what to do, or if I'm just not feeling it, I can just jump right in and do these particular lifts. You can pick your own. Here are a few examples of ones that I really like and think that we should do, and we'll end up talking about these again in more detail later. But in the push category, we have push-ups and or bench press. Now these are 2 core exercises, core lifts in my opinion, that you should be always practicing and getting better at. One of the reasons I like getting better at push-ups is, well, you can pretty much do push-ups anywhere. So even if you're on vacation, if you're at somebody else's gym and they don't have a spot to do bench press, you always have a way to do a chest exercise of some sort. I like bench press as well, for no other reason than I just really like bench press. I think it's a great way to get stronger. I do think personally that you should get good at your push-ups first and then your bench press. Getting good at your push-ups allows you to learn how to use your core and stabilize that before you ever work on your bench press. And oftentimes, as we say in our gym, the bench press uses the barbell, and the barbell, she can be a cruel mistress. And so there's a lot of room for errors when it comes to the bench press. There's a lot less room for severe injuries in push-ups. In our pull category, for our core lifts, we would pick something like pull-ups or rows. Now, pull-ups to me are one of our basic human movements, something that we learned to do when we were a little kid. As toddlers, we learned to grab something overhead and pull ourselves up. Now, our legs were attached to the ground when we did pull-ups that way. And if you watched yesterday's video, we had some of our clients in our metabolic circuit working on their chin-ups where their feet were still attached on the ground. It's a really important movement that we tend to lose a lot of, and a lot of that lat development ends up going away. I typically think pull-ups are our best way to start practicing our core lifts. If you can't do a pull-up, then working on just holding yourself up or holding yourself at the bottom is the best way to go about doing things. You'd want to make sure that you can hold your hang from a position or hold your chin over the bar. I usually recommend working at being able to do both for 30 seconds to a minute. If you can hold your chin over the bar for a minute and you can hang at the bottom for a minute, the odds of you being able to do a pull-up very soon is very, very high. The other exercise on our core lifts is rows. Now, a lot of times we see people doing single arm bent over rows. Learning how to do those correctly is important, but I like more bilateral work. So I like an exercise that we call under rows, where we're doing a row motion from a TRX band or suspension trainers or something of that nature. Another one of our core lifts is front squats. This goes back to our infant style movements, and when we were a toddler, when we were learning how to stand up, when we were learning how to walk, we started off with a front squat. If we picked something up, we bent over, we squatted nice and deep, and then we would grab it and we would lift it from there. I think this is one of the most neglected squat forms when it comes to squats. It is one of the best ones to keep your hips mobile and to make sure that you're squatting well with a nice vertical torso for the most part. Our other core lift would be a deadlift. Now, a lot of people don't know where the name comes from, and the name itself is very scary, but a deadlift is just a dead load. It's just a weight that is on the ground, which is different than a live load, and that's why it's called a deadlift, because there is no kinetic energy stored in the weight itself or in anything that you're picking up. But if you don't practice these movements, you lose these movements, and all of a sudden you throw your back out bending over to pick up a pencil because you weren't able to bend over or hip hinge correctly. Another one of the core lifts that we should be working on are planks and plank progressions and regressions. Back when we were a toddler, when we were an infant and we were learning how to crawl, planks became our go-to thing. Plank is you can do a plank off your knees, but when we started, when we were little kids, our knees were on the ground, our hands were on the ground, and we started to do a crawling motion, which is technically a plank, and working on that. And so we want to go back to some of those infantile movements when it comes to our core lifts. Now, one of the things we want to do again is get rid of the sets and the reps. How you should organize these particular core lifts depends on your day, your schedule, how much time you have. It depends on all those factors, and we're gonna get into that on Tuesday next week. We're gonna go over how to organize what exercises you've picked, so that way you can get better at learning how to plan and manage your own workouts, so you're not just constantly going, I need to do this many sets or this many reps. It shouldn't be that technical. It should be working on learning how to exercise or do workouts based on the movement and based on it like it's a sport. If I want to get better at shooting free throws, I need to just shoot a lot more free throws. If I want to get better at any of these lifts, it's not about the sets or the reps, it's about how well you work with those sets and reps. And at the bottom here I wrote mobility trumps strength, and that's extremely important. So even though we're going to be talking about exercises, even though we're going to be talking about lifts and working on the aspects of what those are, we always want to keep in mind that mobility trumps strength. It doesn't matter how strong you are if you are not mobile. It's better to be mobile first. And this goes back to the bench press thing. A lot of people want to bench press because they can get strong fast, but if they don't have the proper shoulder mobility to handle what a bench press can do, they will become very injured. Push-ups can help with some of that shoulder mobility. You can change the angles, you can regress and progress the angles on what a push-up is. That'll be on a much future video on how to do progressions and regressions. But it's better to be mobile first and then to be strong. If I slap a supercharger or a turbocharger on an engine that is weak and is not happy with life and it's got sill problems already, or a bad axle, or maybe the lug nuts on the tire aren't quite right, I've added strength to a dysfunctional engine, and the engine will quickly blow up and die. Now, while you can replace that engine, you can't replace some of your joints and body parts if you choose to work on getting strong before you get mobile. And so becoming mobile first is always most important. And we'll be kind of hammering that out in each and every episode. So again, today, just to clarify, we went over our 5 human movements and some core lifts in what those are. Remember that you should be practicing your lifts like you're practicing a sport. I'm trying to get better at the lift as though I'm getting better at a sport, not that I'm trying to get better at a lift because I want to look better. That will be the outcome of just getting better at the thing that you're practicing being at. So, with that being said, please feel free to subscribe. Thank you very much for watching. This is Dan and Bryn Star Gym. I will see you guys for a Technical Tuesday on Tuesday. Adios muchachos.